It's recording.
Town of Pierson workshop for Monday, May the 20th, 2024 at 4 p.m. will now come to order. Yvonne, would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mayor Samuel Bennett.
Here?
Vice Mayor Robert Green.
Here.
Councilwoman Sergey Cardinal.
Here.
Councilwoman Lynn Richardson. Here. Councilwoman Brandy Peterson. Here. And me and Ryan are present.
Thank you. At this time, if you would please bow for the invocation. Dear Father in heaven, thank you for this day that you blessed us with. Just give us wisdom and direction as we consider the things before us here at this workshop. Thank you for everyone that is in attendance today. And thank you for this wonderful community in which we've been blessed to live in. I ask all this in Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, under new business, 4th of July. Floor is open for discussion.
Do we have, got everything ordered that we had talked about?
I think they said everything except all the cold
Pretty
items.
much everything
Except-
except food.
Except food?
Well, we do, last time we talked about a snow cone machine and a popcorn machine, and you'd said maybe we should look at some that are a little bit better quality, they might be a little more expensive, but they might last us longer. So Yvonne and I looked around online, and we found some kind of middle of the road ones. I mean, some were $1,200, $1,300, some were $100. There's a commercial grade snow cone machine, sort of like the one Jeremy uses, it's $537. Same with the popcorn machine, it's $600. I mean, it just depends. Do we wanna, if it's a successful, popular thing, do we wanna buy it and maintain it and use it year after year, or do we wanna just spend money on a cheaper one?
Yes, we want a good one because we have,
I know the snow
The
comes,
snow cone will
absolutely.
do well, right?
and the popcorn, we sell popcorn, but the machine just does it. The one we got out there doesn't work.
Well, the popcorn machine that the $600 one, it only pops, I mean, it's not a huge, I mean, it's like a desktop one, like you'd see, like in a home theater or whatever. It's not gonna produce like movie theater quantities, but then again, for us, I don't think we need it to. I think as long as it'll pop, I think it's something like 18 bags every 10 minutes or something like that. I mean, I don't think it should be more than that, right? 2 bags a minute or something like that.
Because
you
you
pop it
start
ahead,
popping
right?
it ahead of time and bagging it prior.
Yeah, once you, like the day of, they filled it up. But whichever one, if the board does decide to get one, I'd like to get one with a guarantee. If it's only for 30 days, because I think the one we got, it didn't even, I don't even think it worked the first time we used it.
Worked one time?
Yeah.
Great day.
Ryan, is this kind of warranty?
I don't know, I didn't look at that.
Maybe they give you the option to buy it to warranty,
I'll have to look it up.
once
Our
Tomorrow.
other option is the same people that we rent the inflatables, they rent snow cone machines and popcorn machines. And we can rent.
How much
How
are
much?
they?
I think off the top of my head, it was $75 for like 3 hours. I didn't look at it today. But I can get that to you by the next meeting.
And it might be since we get all those floats from them and stuff, that they might be willing to, just do it for the whole day or something,
I'd have to call them and find out what the whole day fee would be, because we need it for the whole day, not for 3 hours.
Right.
That's
And
where
they
they,
didn't have one of those listed.
that's where they get us, because we have it for more than 3 hours. So,
I think a snow cone machine though
Well, thank y'all for getting all that information. If they could just get more, find out about the guarantee and even get more information and have it at our next meeting.
How much did you say they were? Around 600 bucks, right?
537 for the snow cone machine and about $5.99 for the
Popcorn.
And is this, what company is this through?
It's that that restaurant supply store.
Website.
But Amazon has the similar brands, but they were a little more expensive, so we went with the web store one.
What was that number again, Ryan, the snow cone machine?
$537 for the snow cone machine, which that was on sale at the time, so you might as well say the regular price for that was $604. So it's about 600 bucks a piece. The other one's $5.99.
What are y'all thinking?
Let's get him to check on the warranty, and then if it's,
Okay.
there's some kind of a warranty, I say, yeah.
Something tells me if there's a warranty, it's only gonna be on the 3rd horsepower motor that's on it, probably. Cause I mean, the rest of it's just an aluminum and glass box with a drain hose, I mean, it's not, you know. But we can definitely look into that.
And then just rent out the popcorn machine?
Well, we'll just put it down as an agenda item, popcorn machine and snow cone.
Machine, and by the next meeting, I'll find out. how
And
much
the
it's
snow
charged
cone.
us
The
for
price
a
of
week.
that.
Put them both down as an agenda item, then we can, because any of this is just discussion and
Right.
recommendation, not really.
And I did reach out to Jeremy too to find out what his snow cone machine was, cause his, I guess we've used multiple years, so it must be a pretty good one, but I never heard back from him, so I can try to call him again and just see. I will say the one that we found, it's not the cheapest one, but it's the best reviewed one. There's another competing company that had one a little bit cheaper, but it had awful reviews. People saying it broke in 3 weeks or 2 weeks or, you know. As far as food and stuff goes, we've pretty much ordered all the condiments, like the salt and pepper shakers, you know, all that kind of stuff, all the paper goods, the foil sheets, all that stuff is ordered. We had talked last time about condiments, getting them in pump bottles. It's not, they don't do that anymore, so it's packets again this year.
Oh, thank
You either have to buy the big gallon thing and get your own pump thing to put on it, and then we read reviews and they were all terrible, and I was like, you know
But
what?
they weren't squirting
Let's just
correctly,
get
they were
packets. So but we went ahead and ordered basically the same thing we got last year. The only thing we haven't ordered, we didn't order frying oil because we order a lot of that and it's expensive. We want to be able to return any unused, so there's a return, you know, like 30 days or whatever, so we really can't order that too far out. And then we still need a number, Mr. Mayor, if you can, for burgers, because we found out how many hot dogs we ordered last year, but we don't know how many burgers.
I'll try to find that out, look it up.
Hot dogs, I think it was something like, well, I don't have it written on this one, it's on one of my desk, but how many hot dogs did I say was in a box? Like 80 or something?
There's
We ordered
like 90.
We ordered like 5 boxes of them, it was
Yeah.
a lot, it was, yeah, because we had some left over last year, so.
And I definitely think the burgers need to be cut down on the top.
Yes. I hope they'll do that, because I really did ask them to, and they said they couldn't, I don't know if they couldn't or didn't want to, but they wouldn't change it.
Yeah, quarter pounder, that's the third thing we learned.
I was talking to Yvonne and Ryan today when I was in there, and I'm gonna reach out to Publix, I'm gonna reach out to Walmart, I'm gonna reach out to some of these stores, because I'm not sure if they will donate, but if they donate us 5 cases of Pepsi's, it's 5 cases we don't have to buy. And I know
That's excellent, that'd be
and
great.
see.
Mhm.
They give us cases of water.
All they do is say no.
Correct, but
Yeah.
they do those kind of things, and since it is a community
Right.
event, I'm sure they
Yeah.
might want to.
That's
So
wonderful.
I'm gonna reach out
Good
to them to see
idea,
if we can
Brandon.
find that out.
Yeah, maybe in return for a little sign up there,
Yeah,
sponsored
Right.
by Publix or
Right.
Walmart or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anything we don't have to buy is just more money we can make.
Yes, that's an excellent idea.
Ashley's,
He's on the list.
is he on, Ryan's on your list? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. He's actually one of the first ones that I kind of thought to reach
Mhm.
out to.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the info on the, how many pounds of fries and the funnel cakes, right?
Funnel cakes, Marcy actually was gonna try to ask,
He wasn't there.
Eddie about today, but he wasn't there, but we know the number that we ordered. And same with the fries, like we know quantities on like that and the hot dogs and stuff, which are all frozen. We know what they are, we just can't order them too far in advance. Me and Chris talked earlier about maybe firing the freezer up and leaving it on for a few days to make sure it holds the temperature.
Yeah.
Cause you'd hate to get it and it, not be working correctly and then lose a bunch of product. But that stuff we may have to order closer to the time. Also, we found out the hard way, well, not really, the drinks through Sam's, like you could order the big things of bottled water and stuff through Sam's, but on those things, those are considered heavy items. So to order 15 cases of water was gonna be $300 in shipping. So for that stuff, we're gonna have to just take the Sam's card and pick it up in person.
Yeah.
Just order it online and just go pick it up,
Oh, and-
which is fine, but, just something to be aware of. All the sodas and stuff we'll try to get at one time. Cause Yvonne and I had talked about maybe we order 5 cases of water a week between now and, you know what I mean? So it all came in like a little at a time, but shipping was crazy. 5 cases of water was $168 in shipping.
Oh,
Holy
It's
cow,
more
are
than
you
a water.
kidding?
Well,
Crazy
again,
day.
you think about that,
I mean, it's so heavy and it's so bulky that some
It's
drivers
light.
gotta,
Yeah.
unload all that and, so. Honestly, I think they do it to discourage you from ordering 30 cases of water.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's all.
That's all right.
anybody else on this? Y'all wanna move on next to the employees?
Yeah,
Okay,
might as well.
item 5B, employees.
So, like I kind of touched on at the last meeting, about some of the equipment breaking down because it's been neglected. I went up to the barn and talked to Lewis. He was very, rude and inappropriate. He came at me, with his arms up, saying, whoa, whoa, when I mentioned this to him. Whoa, whoa, he's yelling at me. What the hell do you expect me to do about it? I'm tired of telling him, and this particular instance, it was Dustin. I'm tired of telling him the things he needs to do. What do you want me to do about it? With some adjectives. And I said, son, you are the foreman. It is your responsibility to make damn certain So, about that time, Dustin pulled up. And I said, son, I said, we need to have a little talk. I said, equipment's not being maintained. I said, that drive shaft was about destroyed from that negligence. I said, nothing been greased, you joints ain't been touched. He just looked at me and he said, yeah, you're right. I haven't been checking nothing. And the two of them turned and walked off from me. So, since then, I got a phone call Friday. I guess there was a softball tournament against Lake Mary or something up here Friday. I got a call from one of the people in town that's very much involved, and he said, Lenny, do you think you can get the garbage cans at the park empty? And I said, well, they're not. And he said, no, they've been overflowing all week. I said, not a problem. So I called Lewis. I said, Lewis, I need you to, I said, they got a tournament up there tonight. I said, I just got a call that the garbage cans are overflowing. I said, can you please go up there and take care of that? I said, I had asked you to do it after the kids at lunch break, you know, so it was off. He said, yeah, I didn't do it yesterday either. I said, all righty then. So I called, I think, Chris, and he went and handled it. I don't want to start micromanaging people, but for what we're paying our employees with their benefits, we got to do something, and I don't know what.
How often do you dump the trash in your daily? How long, I mean, you don't do that, Lewis does that. It's supposed to be daily, right? Yeah. Check.
This person that called me said that Monday, I guess they had a tournament or something, and they had a peanut truck there with all kind of gourmet peanuts. He said, Lenny, it wasn't dumped all week. And I said, how do you know that? And he said, because it was still full of peanut shells, and the bags were full of water. Had a lot of water. So what do? Do we just start idiot proofing with lists, and what do we do?
Well, it sounds like we might need to make this list.
I mean,
Going back to the tractor that you brought up regarding the grease, that tractor's got to be greased every week, Chris, I wish Lewis and Dustin were both here. Dustin's worked with his uncle, Thomas, enough, and I'm sure Thomas greased everything that needs to be greased, and Dustin grew up watching him do that. He knows better than that. He knows that's what the damn grease fittings are for. Keep the joints lubricated. But that's got to be, and if we've got to write a list on what has to be done weekly, we'll do that. But yeah, there's no sense in that. We got a grease gun. It don't take 2 minutes to grease all the fittings on the tractor.
But I mean, if you've been doing this for years, has somebody not been behind them and checked on them? I mean, I can't have somebody, if I'm doing my job for about 5, 10 years, I can't have somebody come behind my back and say, or not behind my back, but come behind me and say, okay, you have to do this, or I didn't do it. That means you're just dropping the ball. You're just not doing it.
zero faith in Lewis and Dustin right now today. I have zero faith in them. For that reason. I mean,
You can't be going behind them, they're
no.
not kids.
No.
Because I know what my job duties are at the courthouse, I'm getting written up, or I'm getting
Correct.
fired if I'm not doing my job. Why? Because they're paying me, and they're giving me
Correct.
benefits.
Regardless of how long you've been there. And what, I mean, sometimes things have to change along the path, of how long you've been there. I mean, the times change, so they're gonna have to take on more responsibility, they drop you know, I mean, things change, but
these
these
are
are
things
normal
that
things
are
that
normal
aren't gonna
day-to-day
change.
operations.
Taking the trash, picking up the trash and lubricating the gears every week, that's a given in what they do. You make a list, then then what, hope they check it off?
And are they gonna, just because they check it off, did they really?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I have zero faith in, especially after the encounter at the barn. I just, that bothered me.
Well, what Sergia touched on is that's, and she said, if I do this at the county, I'm gonna get written up.
Or five.
So I think that's probably the first step, is to document, write this up, and then have Lewis sign off that he forgot. That was being honest, that he did say that he forgot to empty the trash, because that's the protocol. The bathrooms are done every morning, and the trash cans are checked, and if they need dumping, they're dumped. So that's interesting that that the person told you that they hadn't been dumped in a week.
He said he knew they hadn't been dumped since Monday. There was a game, and they had this peanut vendor, and he said the peanut shells were in the garbage all week.
Yeah, so that it needs to be written up. And then I think also that if we know, that's protocol, they do that every day, but especially the day of a game, even if they empty them in the morning, they need to check them again, because I do know that sometimes they'll empty them, and then some people go up there
Right.
and use it for their dump. They'll go in there and
That's
put.
why I had mentioned to them, to dump like after the kids, the high school kids are gone. That way it's fresh for the evening, you know what I mean? If they dumped them in the morning, then the high schoolers come and they're
Right.
full again, and then,
Well, it needs to be dumped in the morning, and it needs to be checked and dumped in that, because if you don't dump them in the morning, and then there's people have activities during the day, then guess what? If they're full, then the trash goes in the park, and it's just a big mess. So, and then, but again, what was told to you, you're saying that he said he forgot to follow
he
the
said,
protocol.
I didn't do it yesterday.
Didn't do it. Well, see, that
Well,
doesn't work.
I agree with you, Mr. Mayor, because, we need to write everything down so that we have it documented. I mean, we all have our bad days, and, maybe, yes, talk to him. It might have been having a bad day or a bad week, whatever it is, but,
Yeah.
we just need to be able to justify.
Yeah, and then you talk to them and you document it, and then if it happens again, you talk to them and document it again, and you're either gonna see something get better and corrected, or then you have something, a record that you can go on and say, okay, we've gone over this several times, something's not working, and that would be, I think, a fair way to give everyone. That's not only in this situation, but any employee. If something's not right, then you can address it and put something in writing, and both talk about it and sign off on it. So. that's a nice perk.
every month.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Sure is.
So, okay. I will do that. I will do that, but no, if y'all,
I'll talk to them myself too.
please,
I'll go over to the barn, I'll talk to them all.
please. Take a gander in that barn when you go.
I'll definitely let Dustin know that the tractor is to be greased weekly.
Every-
And if he's using it every day, then it needs to be greased twice a week.
Well, in the meeting, Tuesday nights, like Jimmy said, every Friday,
Yeah.
they made it a point after whatever hour to wash their trucks and maintain the equipment, which seems fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's hot, so why would you wanna wash your truck to get wet and cool off? Right.
Keep it nice looking too, and clean.
Yeah, at least that,
Absolutely.
yeah, but they have a look better when they're clean, that's for sure. Maybe we ought to go back to that. It was working for,
I think we
Worked for a
decided to
while.
put this on for an agenda item, didn't we, for the next meeting? Yeah. Yeah. I'm just very disappointed and disheartened with them right now.
as you should be.
Well, yeah,
If they turn around and walk away from him, you send their talking to them.
right.
Yeah.
Regardless if they're mad or whatever,
That's
you
right.
stand there
Correct.
and
Yep.
take it and smile and.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Anything else? Huh?
I'd like to come in, Chris. Can we call you Chris? Ryan said that too.
Just have
So
fun.
little Chris is
Little
running
Chris.
around and around, everything.
One Chris is all I can get.
Chris is all you can handle.
Yeah. Chris does a great job.
Chris, don't you?
Yeah, I tell Chris that in the morning when I see him early in the morning. He's there doing the restroom and checks the trash there and empties the, and, so. Okay, number 4C, room rentals.
Beth Harper called me Friday afternoon, and I immediately called Yvonne to see if she would please add this to our workshop agenda. I think that she's wanting she's gonna rent a building somewhere. It's gonna be here or in Seville or somewhere, but she's going to get some really good feedback, and, I did not talk to her personally. We were just texting back and forth, but we need to figure out what we're gonna charge for a rent. And, I know
We don't
Ryan,
have even a room ready for her to go into it. So even if we figure out a price, that room that she wants down there, if I'm correct, it's like 12 grand to put carpet in it.
okay,
It's
we don't need to-
6,000 square feet.
Yeah, that's absurd to me, but I don't know what the answer there. And then nobody wants to mess with the floor because of asbestos.
Asbestos in the tile.
In the
So
tile.
Suggestion is just a tile, or it's a carpet over.
We know that for a fact that it's asbestos? It's been tested?
The people that came and told us it was happening here, they called me and they're like, nope.
But did they send it off or, I mean, for,
They said that was prior to 1974, all that type of linoleum has asbestos in it.
Because-
They will not remove it.
because we have similar flooring at the Lions Club, and we had it tested, and it was not asbestos. That's probably, instead of assuming, we probably should get, that's maybe one thing we should do is get it tested so that we'll know. And then maybe, like Randy's saying, it's, how much, $12,000 for,
For those two rooms, I mean,
so,
one big open room or that span.
We're saying just one big open room, because they
Right.
both gotta be done.
Correct.
There's
is that like indoor, outdoor carpet?
Yes, like in here.
commercial-
Yeah, yeah, like-
Commercial grade.
Yeah.
You know, that's,
Sheet
was-
vinyl was even more.
You had two different people, Lowe's and then another gentleman.
Lowe's.
Lowe's
Lowe's
wouldn't
wouldn't
even
even
quote it.
come, right.
No, carpet
No, they
corner.
came, they just won't quote it.
Yeah, they
because
came and they
it's tile.
measured and then they
Right.
evaluated it and they said no. But I mean, even if the flooring didn't have asbestos in it, you still gotta carpet it. I mean, 80% of that room down there was carpet. There's a little piece of linoleum along the back wall and a little piece along the front wall, and that whole center of that room was carpet that we had to tear up because it was mildew.
Uh-huh.
It was disgusting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, ask Chris, they had to take it out there. It was gross. I mean, it's 50-year-old carpet that's been, there's no AC in that building for 4 years or whatever. It was gross.
would y'all like to put this down as an agenda item for next meeting and try to come up with a plan for the flooring?
I think that's still on his working thing, but you're worried about the rates, which you've kind of done some figuring on rates.
A little bit, but I have a whole draft lease agreement from Christian that we can go over, if y'all wanna go over it and determine what we want to charge for.
Well, that's why I was brought that up, that's
Yeah,
what I was
think
alluding to,
that's-
because
That's why I had Yvonne put it on here, 'cause we need to talk about
we
it.
need to talk about
figure out.
the rental and as far as doing the flooring, we need to, that's not on
Right.
the agenda, so really, again, we
Well,
advertise.
we haven't done anything else there because we've set the budget for them for 10,000 and they have $1,200 left, right?
Cause
And
we
then
did
that had
all,
to come to the,
Yeah,
Painting,
we
we
did
had to
painting.
repair air conditioners.
we had all the toilets,
Right.
We had to
and 2 rooms
replace the
done.
toilets.
Yeah,
There were a lot of,
so that stuff, actually,
Unforeseen.
that building down there on the end, there's one little minor repair that needs to be done to the roof, which the roofer thinks we could do with some caulking. Other than that, the carpet's all that needs to be done, and cleaning, the bathrooms are gross.
But you're over
They all
budget,
work.
but you're saying we're over budget, I mean, or,
out of the 10,000
Out of the
that we
10,000,
allocated.
allotted.
to the
Right,
building.
yeah,
We've
yeah,
used all but like $1,200.
so if you,
more
would-
money.
so let's put that down as an agenda item, and then we'll get back to what we have on our workshop.
Is Ed gonna wanna rent a space that big?
All right, now what, how about the 4 rooms, the building back here? That's a new, what are the, is that carpet in there, or is that?
No, those are tiles,
Right.
and we think all those really need are a good cleaning, and that giant chiller thing that's out back, no AC people we've talked to knows how that works. So Robbie Tollison suggested we just put mini splits in each of those as we rent them out, they're like $3 grand a piece.
Uh-huh.
Because he said, trying to figure out, he said that chiller thing, they've researched it, I mean, it's as big as a car, you know, and they have no idea how that works. So he said he didn't know if they could fix it, if it would run.
Again, we can put this as an agenda item, and let's,
But you have some info on pricing on what,
I know Ryan had mentioned to us prior,
I just came up with,
a square foot?
most of the time with a commercial lease agreement, you do it per square foot. We don't have to do it that way. You could just pull an arbitrary number out of the air and say, this is what we want to get for it. But to make it fair to people, normally you come up with a number, and so like what you normally do is you normally take an estimate of the real estate taxes, which there will be real estate taxes, because as soon as we rent something here, we lose our tax exemption on it, because we're making it available for commercial purposes. So you take an estimate of the real estate taxes, an estimate of the water and the power, because that's also all on us. An estimate of your insurance, if you want to pass part of your insurance costs along, but that's all up to us. And then what you do is you figure out, okay, this is how much per square foot it's costing us to rent this before they even walk in the door. You know, like this is how much water, how much power. So we just kind of estimated. We don't really have any hard numbers on that because none of these rooms are on their own meters. So like, for instance, when we figured water, I just figured what our base commercial rate is for someone in Pierson, right? $67 a month, that's what I figured on water. Power, we said $120 a month. My parents have a house in Seville with Duke Energy, it's like 1,300 square feet. They average $120 to $140 a month in power. But that's them living there full time. These people are only gonna be here
right,
8 hours a day.
right.
So we said maybe $120 Property taxes, I just based it on Surety Bank, cause we got charged on that building. That works out to $180 a month. So already you're up to $367.58 with just
Just,
our additionals, you know, that's not including whatever you want your base rate to be.
I was talking to you guys before, that's not all that has to be done for us to get people in these
No,
rooms.
we
The
have
fire
to-
marshal has to come out. and
Well, the
they-
fire marshal, they have to contact themselves.
the renter.
When
has
a
to
renter
call.
signs a lease agreement, they will have to contact the fire marshal and do a life safety plan, which is basically just a blueprint of the building that shows here's the exits, here's how we get out of here.
Right.
That will be on each tenant, and
Also for the sales tax, we have to go to the property appraiser's office, they will assign each building that's being used a number, and it has to be, what was it, surveyed?
Eford has to come do that. So I got a quote from Eford, it's $4,000 for the boundary survey, and then $250 per building, and there's 10 buildings. So that's $2,500, so grand total $6,500. And that is required by the property appraiser for us to rent it.
So that they could tax it properly.
Yeah, they have to give each
Because this
building.
is one giant complex, and they
Right.
cannot
Right.
subtract one. The only way they came up with is by giving each building a number, an identification number,
They give it a legal description.
and a legal description from the surveyor, and then they can tax that building.
Right.
So there's still some,
There's a lot of
Like I said,
stuff that
legwork.
still has to go into play.
do,
Yeah.
and I know that's on time constraint, because it's summertime.
You're right, yeah.
Well, that one would just be a matter of, you're gonna have to have it regardless. So you have to decide if you wanted to spend the $6,500, and you gotta do it now or later, it's gotta be done. If you wanna rent these out,
It
according to
doesn't
the
matter
county.
which room.
So you just have to put that on an agenda and we have to vote on it. But Justin Eford is the one that quoted me all this, and he's aware of it. We talked about it all the way back in March. And I sent him the boundary survey, which we had when we bought the building. They still have to update that because the boundary survey the school gave us they hadn't split our part from their part, so he's still gotta update it. And then do a legal description for every building.
You said 6,500?
6,500 total.
And
But-
that's for the survey, but once that survey got done, then each one of those rooms, that would be the
identified.
part. for
Then
property
we'd report
appraisal.
it to the property appraiser's office as we rent them, and they would give them an identification number, and they would add the legal description, and then it would be its own little.
So that's something, as soon as it can get surveyed and back to the county, it can be done. So that's
And
not-
in theory, you could move people in before the county had it all recorded, they just want to be able to at the end of the year.
Right,
Okay.
right,
No,
right,
no,
yeah,
no.
that's right,
So
yeah.
that part of it's not that bad, and the fire marshal thing, like Yvonne said, that is per tenant. He said if we're not the ones doing that, then it's gonna be on them, because there's also restrictions on,
Different.
like the one
obligations.
girl, Maya,
That wanted to
She
do a
wanted to do a nail salon.
That's not gonna work.
because there's no ventilation, and the new Florida code says you have to have a specific kind of ventilation if you're using any of those chemicals.
Chemicals.
So he's thrown a wrench into it a little bit, but, they'll be responsible for a life saving plan.
And if it requires them to put, fire extinguishers or any other things he wants to be put for rental.
I guess my question is, what do we want to get out of the rooms rental wise? I mean, we at least wanna break even.
Right, well,
We
I,
have to make some money for it to make sense to us.
I was gonna throw out $500 a month. To see, and if that doesn't work, then, you know, we can adjust it. But my gosh, I mean, we're not gonna be making a whole lot, but we'll be offering a service. We're not in it to make, we just wanna cover.
Resources, so
Or-
the community
exactly.
will have resources.
Exactly. I mean,
And we
do
all
y'all
know-
think 500, what do y'all think?
I'm good.
What did we break, 30-something?
367, that's an estimate.
Yeah, that's,
Without insurance.
Well, our insurance, we have to have on this place regardless.
Right.
yeah.
But that is another thing, the tenant is responsible, they have to give us an insurance certificate, they must carry commercial general liability, it must be $1 million. We must be named as additional insured.
Right.
So that we're covered, and this draft lease agreement that Christian did,
Mentions
there's a
that.
whole harmless agreement in here that says we're not responsible if someone gets hurt or,
Right.
you know. There's a couple other things that we need to like ask about, like Christian's got terms in here. He's got them set at 5-year terms, which is 3 or 5 years is pretty standard, but that's high for a Pierson.
Oh, yeah,
Someone may only wanna trial it for a year to see if it's
Right.
gonna
yeah,
work.
yeah. I
So we
thought
wanna
about-
maybe
No,
move
an
that
annual
down
deal,
to an
yeah.
annual
Yeah,
thing.
yes, yes, annual thing.
I'm just going through to see. Then they have it baked in usually to a lease that you, if they sign a multi-year lease, it goes up 3% annually. So if you started at 500, the next year it'd be 500 plus 3%, and 500 whatever plus 3%. In here, Christian's got tenant agrees to pay all charges for gas, electric, or illumination, heating, air, water, sewer. We would basically be providing power and water because me and Chris looked today, there's one power meter for this entire campus.
Right.
We have no way to let them turn on their own power, which
Mhm.
would be nice, but we're just not gonna be able to do it. So I would say in that part of the lease, we say that the water and the electric is included, but if they want things like Spectrum Internet, they're gonna have to call and get their own. We're not providing telephone or internet or cable or, it's water and power.
Right.
Yeah, we're just providing the room, the room, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And, you know, obviously, the landscaping and all, like the boys mow it and everything, so basically the outdoor areas they technically get to maintain. Christian's got in his draft agreement that these are absolutely net leases, which means the rent amount that Pierson gets is a net amount, so any kind of repairs, replacements, insurance requirements, fees, solid waste removal, any of that stuff is in addition to what we charge for the net rent. So in other words, if we can write it so that if something happens and there, you know, our toilet's clogged, we hire someone to come out and fix it, but they owe that to us. But that's something you guys have to talk about as a council. I mean, do we want to take that responsibility on, or do we want to cut them loose and say, you got a plumbing issue, you got an HVAC issue?
But then you're gonna have all these different companies coming in here working
Right.
on our buildings and stuff, when
Right.
you start that.
So
But
my,
if we include it, then we have to up the rent.
or they have to understand that if we have someone come fix something, they're going to get billed for whatever the repair was.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, if you leave it up to them, they might hire someone that's not licensed, or, you know, have their uncle come fix it, or, you know, who knows? So I don't know that we want people working on things if they're not qualified to do that. But I mean, these are just ideas that I have written down. You know, you as a council will have to decide what's included or not included in a lease.
So we need to put the rental agreement and budget for the money on the next agenda.
That's correct.
If you want to.
Yeah.
But we got to decide what room we're gonna use. I mean, if it's, we got to find out if those tiles all have asbestos in it. That's the first thing that's gotta be done.
Well, the thing about the asbestos tiles, they're not harmful to you as long as you don't disturb them.
Right.
In other words,
Yep.
if you just put something over
Cover them up, right,
But what I'm saying is
Right.
people aren't gonna come remove it, you're gonna have to floor over it.
right.
Yeah.
But regardless, you're gonna have to floor that anyway.
You don't have to floor it.
You're gonna have to.
It's got-
I-
it's gotta be
Carpets
floored.
were
I'm-
mildewed and dry rot.
Yeah, the carpets are gone. It's just cement floor with some asbestos tile on the walls,
Mhm.
on the sides.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if there's asbestos, knowing that the Volusia County School Board is charged with the responsibility and welfare of the children, and
You
they
would
did have,
think.
they did have kids up here.
Mhm.
So, but we could definitely get that checked out. Getting back to the rental amount, what about, with all of that we're talking about, and Mr. Vice Mayor, you had mentioned 500, what do you think about 650?
I don't know, I just threw a number out there. I don't think we need to be so high
Right.
that,
Well, do you think?
you're gonna run somebody off.
And 650 isn't, in view of all that we're talking about, that's not a big rent amount, $650, you know, with.
I don't know, I don't have a clue what.
Big rent is.
What tutors get for tutoring students, so I don't know.
I do know,
I do not know.
Chad Ward's woman, what's her name, Crystal?
Crystal.
She's got a little teeny place there next to the hardware at De Leon.
By the Ace Hardware in De Leon and the
Mhm.
laundromat and all that, and then she
Yeah.
has that one little in building.
I think she told me the square footage was 945, and she's paying $1,000. And what else did she say she had to pay for? Something else she had to pay for.
Probably an
Electric, probably.
Maybe it was the power.
Wow.
She's paying
Yeah.
1,000.
But
Well,
and that,
maybe, 500 maybe too?
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't know.
650 is not, that wouldn't be a lot.
Might be interested in a room up there.
Surety Bank.
Well, I'm
charged
kinda going to go.
$1,600.
What's that?
Surety Bank paid us $1,600.
Right.
I mean, commercial rent is not,
Yeah.
I'm not saying we have to make it 1,600, I'm saying, I would say 650 is probably better than 5.
Okay, well, I just threw it out there. I agree.
You had to have a number to start with.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
start with something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Crystal's
Well, then
paying 1,000.
650, that's,
I mean, 650 with all the numbers you just threw
Yeah.
at us, so that's at least putting us a little bit ahead
Right.
instead of right at the market.
exactly.
Now, is this 650 for every building we rent, or are you just doing this for the tutor? That's my question.
we're just doing this as a starting point for
Yeah.
the room that we're gonna make available.
If somebody else is interested to rent a room, rent a building or whatever, are we gonna go with the same thing, or are we gonna set up, per
Well, we'll have to set.
square foot
We'll have to
price?
set, we'll have to set up
I
a
would
square
say you
foot
do it per
price.
square foot price.
Yeah.
Me too.
Especially if you ever got interest from someone like Daytona State or someone like that.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, go ahead and charge them what it's worth, not,
right.
To get the ball rolling and where we're at and stuff, 650, I'm okay with it. That may have to
Well,
be tweaked.
That might have to
I
change,
think
right,
if you
yeah.
sign a year lease, then at the end of the year, you can expense it out and figure out what you actually,
That's true.
what it costs
Yep.
you, and then if you have to go up, then you can go up.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm good with 650.
And we could, and like Randy said, you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Go with the 650 and then have, you know. So,
But I agree with Ryan and y'all too. I think, you know, and it will. People's gonna start renting this. And we'll have to adjust it. We'll have to start doing it by the square foot,
Yeah.
like
That's
y'all
the only way
say.
we're gonna make money, you make sure.
Exactly,
meet.
yeah,
Right.
exactly, yeah.
Well, we can also, and I don't know, Chris and I talked about this a little bit earlier today. You could maybe ask Duke Energy about putting a separate meter on
Right.
each building.
Yeah.
I don't know if if it would cost you anything or not. Sometimes when you're hooking up power, it's prorated in your, you know.
Won't hurt
And that way, in the future, you could tell people, hey, here's the meter number, you gotta call and turn this on yourself. That's what we did at the buildings that we managed at that property management company I work for. The only power we paid was in common areas, or if there was a joint unit, like 2 units shared AC or power or whatever, we paid it and we split it among them. But, I mean, that might give you a better idea of how much each tenant's actually spending.
Mhm.
But also, we could probably just take the average of what it is for us to be here and figure out the difference at the end of the year, monthly or whatever, and say, okay, when that tenant moved in, it jumped $150 a month or, you know. But I think as long as you're not, my only concern, I guess, is that we don't know what property taxes are gonna do. Like, my number is an estimate. You know, so at the end of the year, do you get hit with a property tax bill that was bigger than what you charged them, or, you know what I mean? So, at the end of the year, you, I think, have to evaluate it and see what it actually cost you to rent.
you're right, yeah, we won't know until after.
We won't know until it comes out.
Until we,
But that's 6 months also, I mean, if you give them in there, I mean, it's May now, you start, you know, we have the whole rest of this year,
So-
half of the year
Do we,
to compare it to.
this might be a Christian question because I think it falls under, short-term rentals, which is a whole different ballgame, but do we wanna entertain the idea of doing less than a year leases with people?
I wouldn't.
I just know that sometimes things are seasonal and sometimes people don't want it for a whole year.
Like, is Beth just doing the tutoring during the summer, or is it
well,
gonna be
that's,
long-term?
well, that's right, yeah, I don't know.
The way she explained it to me is she wanted to start in the summer to like build her base, but then she was wanting to do it year round.
Mhm.
Well, I think we should write the lease. We can do a yearly lease, but I think that we need to give them the option. For example, we're talking about Beth. I mean, in rental property, you have to consider who you're renting to. I think she's serious about renting this space. I think she'll take care of whatever she rents. But at the same time, if this isn't successful, I don't think we need to make an example out of her and penalize her. Oh, I'm locked in for a year, I'm gonna have to pay the town thousands of dollars because I went into a year lease. I think it should be basically, I mean, the lease can read it for a year that she'll have it, but I think it should be month to month, because after 3 or 4 months, she might say, this isn't working.
I think your better option there might be to collect a security deposit from everybody, and then if you break your lease early, we keep your security deposit, but we let you off.
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't wanna burn.
Right, we don't wanna like take them to court and try to like get the balance or whatever.
Exactly,
you know.
exactly.
So I think, cause she's wanting to provide something here that the community needs. We have the, location here and the property that it's gonna be a benefit to the community. So all I'm saying is I just don't wanna, I hope it's a big success, but we don't know. That's the
Right.
unknown.
But I'm like, Ryan, if you put a security deposit, I mean, anybody that's serious, they're gonna put in a security deposit, and when they leave, we give it back to them if they left it like they found it. Or like you said, if they break the lease, you just keep the security deposit and let them break their lease.
Right.
And that's all spelled out.
And
You can spell that out as a lease and say, if you
Right.
terminate early, you've got to give us 30 days written notice, and we.
That's all,
keep your security
that's
deposit.
where I think it should go. It can be a yearly lease, but if you give us 30 days notice, that,
Right.
then.
So, a way out.
It's a
Allow her
way
a
out.
way out.
Yeah, it's a way out,
But I think most people,
without them getting penalized.
yeah, but I think if they hear, oh, it's a year lease, they're more serious about, you know what I mean? Like, if it's a month-to-month thing, you have to
Well-
be in that.
Well, it's
I'm
a
not-
year lease with the inside of the yearly lease, it would state in there for
Right.
30 days. We
Yeah.
wouldn't say, hey, we only
Right.
got monthly.
Right.
And
exactly.
each agreement, it's a personal thing. We might do a little differently with Beth than this tutoring than we would with another company, and then, you know, and it could even be more money depending on what they're doing.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Yeah.
you talk about rental, just like Senor Pepper. I know talk about rent, they pay quite a hefty amount over there. And so it's, that's $650 is very reasonable.
I think so too.
So-
I think so too, but I also agree what you said, you know,
Life happens. I mean, a family
Yeah.
tragedy happens, not just if their business didn't work. I mean, for whatever reason, if they have to shut the doors ahead of time, there would be that option for them.
right.
Right, that's a good idea.
And it's really up to the town's discretion to how you handle each case. Like sometimes when we were trying to rent a property because some had sat vacant for a long time, sometimes you did give people a break on their first year. Or sometimes people would leave, and instead of going through like the eviction process and trying to take them to court to get the money back, we would just say, write it off. It's not worth it. They owed us a whopping, $600 a month for 5 more months or whatever. So I mean, the town has, I would say, the option to do that.
Right.
you know, the leases don't have to be standard. You can make exceptions and concessions per tenant. And it's really, you know, it's one of those things where people talk and they go, oh, so-and-so said they got it for X amount. Well, that's them. This is a different building, it's a different scenario. So, but I would say going forward, a good basis is probably to come up with a per foot price, at least for the expenses. So you can say, okay, this is how much per foot it's costing us to air condition this building in August.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that we can bake that into numbers whenever we're figuring out numbers.
But the room she is wanting, that's air conditioner works, everything's good.
Everything,
there.
all that, the
But
only
then
thing that
splits
you need
are
is
for the
flooring.
four back
Flooring.
ones.
Back here,
Okay.
yeah. We could try to fire up that chiller, but the second it goes down, no one knows how to work on it, and God knows what kind of power bill you're gonna have with that thing. It's as big as a bus. So it's probably a lot more efficient if you got just mini splits. I know, you know, $3 or $4 grand sounds like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, if they're more efficient and they last, and we don't have to do them all at once, you can do them as people show interest in moving in.
Yeah.
But really, I think those buildings, I don't even know if they need paint. I think they're just clean them, do the floors, refinish the floors.
The back,
The,
those are the back.
the back rooms, the 4 rooms.
4 rooms need.
Those over there need a lot.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
whole other
That's
ball of
what you're
wax.
talking about.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about what they
Those are
call,
not good.
what they call building 10.
Yes, those rooms are probably the
Basically,
next ones we need to start getting rented out.
yeah.
Right, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a newer building.
I mean, well, you wanna kinda put it up at the front
Right.
and work on these, but that next building before those 4, I would work on that back building.
So we can start getting revenue to work on it.
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
yeah. bring
But
it in.
honestly, the
maybe
4
we
over there
need
aren't terrible. But that building has a damaged roof
Yeah.
that we can discuss later. But that's the big problem with that one, is that there is the roofer that came and looked at it said he could put his fist through the hole in the roof in that building.
But that's the rooms that smell like mold, so that's right?
Yeah, but once they got the carpet
Once
and
they
all
pulled
that
everything
out,
out.
the smell was gone, but if there's still a hole in the roof, it's just
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
from,
yeah.
that's the room that got flooded, wasn't it? Where the,
No.
no?
No, that was.
No, that's up here by the sheriff's office.
Yes?
Any consideration being given to the, Ford stores that they're for now, and seal them? Instead of, they use a composite, they pour on,
Yeah.
instead of tile, it's easier to upkeep, it's durable, it can be used almost anywhere, and it's not unattractive either.
Is there any local?
That's another option to look at.
Quite a few
Huh?
places
Really?
locally.
I think there's a company in, is it Palm Coast or somewhere over there in Plaza County that does that, I
We
believe.
can get a quote and just see what people say.
It
Yeah.
looks like the old Shiraz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's much more durable, you can use it in a garage, it's impervious to oil.
But that room, the room in question now, is, the carpet's been pulled up, is that room flat? Is that totally flat? Where you
There's
could,
a lip about that high between the bare
Between-
floor and the tile, or linoleum. or
Right.
whatever.
So there's still glue, maybe?
A lot of it.
And pour right over imperfections too.
Right.
we may have to look into that. Yeah,
Might be
They-
cheaper,
they-
12 grand for
oh,
some
yeah,
carpet.
they do carports and stuff.
It saves removing a lot of the old stuff you can pour over it, and can be smoothed out, the floors are uneven. They don't peel up.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
That's-
Yeah, we need to look into that.
Look into that, and then another thing is this new material, it's this plank flooring that's waterproof.
No, we haven't.
It's
If you're gonna
waterproof?
have Commercial use,
It's waterproof, what you have?
it's waterproof, but it still has problems.
Is it the plank
What kind of
floor or is it
problems?
the vinyl floor?
If you get any kind of a chip or corner, it's no longer
It's expensive.
waterproof.
We did get a quote for final pouring.
That was
It
15 grand.
Yeah, it was 15
It's
grand.
expensive if you get the good stuff, it'll stand up for commercial use. 'Cause we've done a lot of buildings and it's expensive. And if you get the slightest chip or if your tenant doesn't keep it up, the waterproofing is out of.
Yeah, because we had a building the actual building that we worked out of in Ormond, when I was working for that property management company, they were moving a huge desk, and we had just gotten the floors redone, and they dropped it, and it broke the corner of one of those tiles, and it was like in the center of the floor.
And then you have to start
So then we had to
all over
like,
the wall.
yeah, no, they just colored it in with a marker, but you could always tell it looked bad.
And if you have to replace it, you have to start from the wall and go
Right, and go all the way back in.
And if you don't do sealant, it's no longer waterproof.
So more upkeep if it's in
Yeah.
a commercial
want
space.
something
No, don't want that. I think that coating is might be our best option. I really do.
We can get quotes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then if you need
Then they could
a
just
carpet
pour it.
in there, buy you a rug, whoever's renting.
Yeah, they can buy a rug if they want.
Right.
You have a floor, you have air, electricity, and water, we're done.
Yeah.
Also, we just spent a bunch of money painting that. Tenants cannot paint anything. I mean, we need to discuss that kind of
Right.
stuff too. No major
Because we just paint, have all that
alterations
repainted,
or.
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't need them to go in there and paint it purple. Because then that means if they move out, then in a year, we have to repaint it all over again to get rid of the.
Well, that probably needs to be in the tenant agreement,
Mhm.
But that's what I'm
not
asking.
all painting on
I
the
think
walls.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it says that they're not allowed to do
Yeah.
any kind of major upgrades, but we'll need to stress that to people that, hey, you could put some art or something up there, but use command strips.
Yeah.
Well, even when you're signing that, you can have it at every little thing where they have to just initial.
Yeah, I was gonna say, ours will
Yeah,
have an
just put initial RP,
Every page.
and I read it, you told me about it.
Yeah, so in here, they have improvements. Tenant may not make any alterations or additions to the premises, including but not limited to cutting the walls, ceiling, roof, or floors, changing the color, or altering the architecture without, on each occasion, obtaining prior written consent by the landlord.
Yeah.
That's all true.
So I think Christian's draft is pretty good. There's just a couple little changes that we have to make.
I could rather share our needs.
What color do you think is
White.
White on the inside.
Yeah.
It looks a lot brighter than what it did.
I bet it
looks
did.
so nice in
I
there.
bet.
Even the sheriff's room looks so much nicer with the white paint.
Yeah.
Right.
So all the different colors of greens and blues, it was like, you put the white in there and it makes everything pop.
Mhm.
Bright, airy.
Are the cops use that one? No?
Not yet. They have to get, internet in there
Oh.
and they are working with the fire
Fire
marshal
marshal.
for their life safety.
Yeah. So it's a process.
Now,
It's a process.
I will say the good news about building 10 in the back is that in all of the digital files that Volusia County School Board provided us, that building was the only one I found the original life safety plan for.
Oh.
So whoever moves in there can just update it
Yeah.
to their use. All these other buildings, nothing. And it's not easy or cheap, I'm gonna tell you right now, to get a
No.
life safety plan.
The
We're
quote we got was $7,000.
How much?
$7,000 because they have to do a survey and then they have to draw out the life safety plan.
yeah, it has to be done by like an architect usually.
And the fire marshal is doing this to everybody, hospitals, doctors' offices. I've heard complaints from all over Volusia County where he is putting the law down.
Great, great.
Yvonne and I called to get quotes from people, and everybody told us, oh, we're so swamped, we don't have time to do yours right now, because they are doing all the other people in Volusia County that he's also hit. Including a hospital. Did he ever say what
Yes.
hospital? Like a
Advent.
multi-floor Advent hospital didn't have an up-to-date life safety plan, so. That firm was doing one for 140 rooms or something.
Nope, don't have one.
Yeah, but the problem is now they can charge whatever they want for a life safety plan because he's putting them in the money. So like it's
back here
Building 10,
needs cleaned, that's it, period, the end,
Pretty
right?
much.
And air,
and the AC.
And the mini splits.
the mini splits.
I think Sergio hit it on the head.
Yeah, I think so too. We need to get
Put a
those
damn
in.
mini splint in one of them and have it cleaned. I think we could start there cheaper than we can with $12,000 for flooring right now. Right?
It'd still have to do a life safety plan regardless.
I thought it was already updated.
No, we
No,
have.
we have the
old-
original
Just have to
that they can base it off of.
Base it off of, they're still
Yeah,
gonna
they
get
still have to do
charged
it. Yeah.
to do whatever they have to do because
Right.
we have no control over that. You have to do
Because
that
see,
with
the way the
somebody.
life safety plan works is you're basically showing the whole entire building, all the exits. Well, if you're renting those to individual people, that whole picture no longer applies
It's just
because
that room.
it's not, you're not evacuating one school, you're evacuating one building. So,
One
or one
room.
room in a building, so they're gonna have to,
And like that room back there that you're talking about at 10 has 1, 2, 3, 4 doors? 5.
I was gonna say, I thought there was.
It's got several doors back there because it's the one room, then it goes into where there's the 2 offices, there's bathrooms, and then it goes into another giant room. And there's doors on all sides.
but
So
there is,
all that-
I mean, there is some stuff that needs to be done back there. There's a building back there that has a door that will not close. We don't have a key for any of those doors, so you're probably gonna have to put new knobs on them. One of the windows got broken out in one of those rooms, and what y'all put plexiglass or something in there, but that should probably be fixed correctly. So I mean, there's minor stuff back there that needs to be done, but for the most part, they're probably structurally the best.
This life safety plan you're talking about, is this something new that the fire
It's
marshal
like
just
an
come up?
exit.
You know, I was gonna say, who in the hell was dumb enough not to go to a damn door to get out of a building?
But what there, he explained it, he was a fire marshal for Volusia County a while ago, and he left, and he came back, and now he's catching up on everything he's missed. But like, we have the doors on the side here, we have to have it that in here, people know they can go out those doors to safety.
If there's a fire in the hallway between this door. they
Which is
can go
crazy
out.
because he also made us put an exit light or exit signs with illuminated things, so you would think you just follow the exit sign. But,
It doesn't work that way, they're like,
and see, part of the life safety plan is at every door, you have to shrink the life safety plan down. You know when you go in a public building and there's a map that shows you, that has to be at every door in there.
I don't even pay attention to those.
At every door?
Every door where you can exit the building, you have to make a little plaque and hang it by the door.
yeah, you
Let's put that on the agenda, a rooms, discussion, and action.
Okay.
And now, before we move on, is there anything else you want to talk about room rental as far as a fee?
See on the agenda?
Is it has to do with room rental, employees, or 4th of July?
Yes.
Okay,
What's the status on the far building down here? Yeah,
that, wait a minute, hold on, we would put that as an agenda item to discuss, that's rooms, discussion and action.
the reason I brought it up, there's some ladies in town that are looking for places to have like rent to do once a week painting
talking about the boys'
classes
room?
and things like that.
You're talking about the room that's the front room. So we'll put that down, Sue, as an agenda item, and then we can discuss that further. Because we really need to get a workshop to what's on the agenda, because that's what it was advertised as. So I'm all for talking about it, so let's put that, we can discuss what Sergia and Lenny are talking about, and what Sue's brought up, so rooms, discussion, and action. Anything else before we, anything more about room rentals, fees?
We do need to, Ryan and Yvonne, if y'all can locate the company that does that flooring, let's at least get a price,
Yeah.
See what it's gonna be. Hopefully it'll be a whole lot cheaper than carpet, I don't know.
Yeah.
Lonnie Harper's niece, Kiki Martin, they do that. Remind me, Ryan, to get her number, find her number.
Okay. So anything else with any of the 4th of July employees or room rental? Okay.
No.
Okay. Thank everyone for coming, and being no further business, this workshop is adjourned.